Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Brian, as you probably guessed. Behind me is my 1962 Chevrolet truck. You may have seen before, it's been in a few videos. So anyway, you may have noticed in some of the other videos this window's broken. So let me tell you a little story about that. When I first purchased this vehicle, about 20 years ago, maybe longer, it had West Coast mirrors, the big stick out ugly ones, and I eliminated them and put kind of back the factory style mirror. So as I welded up the holes in the door where those mirrors were mounted, I used a grinder and ended up screwing up my glass, kind of pitted all the original glass. So I met a guy at work, the contractor, actually doing a window job or a door job at work. Said he could make new glass, so I let him do that. Of course, he had the windows, he had the vent window in the frame for a long time. Turns out he quit that company and kind of vanished. So fortunately, the glass company was kind enough to find my window frames and all that and get them back to me, and only charged me like 50 bucks to do the work. But the windows were made out of safety glass, so there's a laminated plastic strip in there, so when it breaks, it doesn't break into a million pieces like your windshield would be, or your back glass would be. So, which is all fine and dandy other than you see the line. But it's not really made for using in the side windows, because typically the side windows would have tempered glass, which is a lot harder and won't break like this. Now the reason this one broke is this door latch is pretty much completely worn out. So sometimes the door will shut, most of the time it won't. I have replaced the hinge bushings in here years ago, and they might be slightly worn, but not worn enough to keep the door from closing. So anyway, this door latch is pretty much worn out, which excessive slamming resulted in breaking the window. So I purchased a new door latch. I don't feel like they were available when I first got this truck, or they were ridiculously expensive. So I'm assuming that's worn out. I got a new door latch to go in there, and I also got new window glass for both sides to replace this broken one, the vent windows, etc. So let's get started. So there's no plastic in this bad boy, so there's a bunch of Phillips screws we got to take out, as well as getting the set screws out to pull the door handle and the window crank off. So the window crank and door handle are kind of splined on here. We have a set screw with a regular, good old regular set screw in it, so they should come off with a little wind seal. Same thing for the window crank. The armrest is held on with some Phillips screws. And I've done my own homemade vapor barrier here. So the door latch operates pretty much right here. So it's in here in the window, behind this window channel. They'll need to get out probably first. There are 3/8 bolts that hold the window channel in. And that'll pull out of the door. I've never had these out, so we'll see what happens here. That's not too bad. go ahead and take the handle out and take this whole assembly out at one time. There we go. So it's been a few weeks. I was hoping for better weather, but now I need to use the truck. So there's the new latch. Honestly, it doesn't look a whole lot different from what I took out as far as condition, but it does seem a little tighter. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that put in. I don't think I'll mess with the window this time. I'm gonna get this put in and drive it for a while to see if I can get the door adjusted, so I don't run the risk with the new window. Of course, it's not going to want to go, so I need to loosen it, get this back on. Be sure to install that handle first, because you can't get these screws back in if you don't. And you can't get the, with these screws in, you can't get that handle attached. Alright, so let's see if it works. Let's make sure it'll function from the inside. See what happens from the outside. Wow. That closes 1,000 times better. Now let's see if I can open it from the inside. Definitely much better, but I got some errands to run. I need to get some plywood. So I'll just maybe throw the armrest back on and drive it like this for a while. So it's been a few months. I've been driving around with no door panel when I do drive it. And also, I think everything's settled a little bit, and almost don't have enough throw from the inside to open the door, so it's easier to open it from the outside. Which means we probably need to raise this door latch, catch, whatever you want to call it, a little bit. I'm hoping I can just move it up a hair. Try a little more. So maybe the problem is how far the inside latch moves it. So maybe there's some adjustment here with this door latch I can make. Okay, so I basically just slid the latch. So I pretty much just slid the latch forward about as far as it would go and tightened it. And that seems to be enough to do it. So now that that's sorted out, let's tackle the windows. So I realized that this window is not even in the track where it belongs, but I don't believe I can get it out of here. We can probably get it out. I'm not sure I'm going to get the new one in without taking out this whole vent window assembly. So now I need to kind of remember how all that went down. So I see there's some screws around here, so there's screws up on the top that hold this portion in. And I feel like maybe those screws down there hold this part in. There's nothing under the bottom. So now I remember this whole setup comes out of here. So those two screws do hold this in. I feel like I relined this when I did it with this tape. So now we can just set this aside. This window should come out of here. Like that. So I have the whole vent window assembly over here on my workbench, and I was expecting a little bit of a fight to pull this glass out of the frame, but it just came right out. So there's the laminated one. There's nothing wrong with that other than it's laminated. I want to make sure this is clean down in here, and then looks remarkably good. I think I sandblasted these and painted them. I honestly don't remember, but it's clean enough in there. I think we're good to go back together. There's my new glass. I also got window setting tape. I think from Classic Parts, but one's for the window, one's for the vent window. Not really sure how to identify at this point which one's which. They look exactly the same. One's a little longer. So I'm going to assume the longer one is for the vent window. I've had it sitting out in the sun a little while to, I don't know, become more pliable, whatever. And this is tinted glass, so it should match the windshield. And they appear to be a little bit shorter than the laminated ones I had made, which will be good because these never shut. They were almost too big. So I've never done this before, just gonna make the assumption we're gonna stick on this tape and wrap around the edge of the window. And I'll just snip it off to length. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of electrical tape. I'm going to take some electrical tape to help hold this in place while I get it fitted. So these corners are obviously going to be problematic. With that much bunched up, that's not going to fit in the frame. So we'll give it a little snip. Kind of overlap it. Obviously that's still not going to fit. So we'll try to miter it. Probably don't want to scratch your new glass. And do the same to the other side. Of course, this one may have already stuck to itself. So something like that. So that's probably not 1000% ideal, but I'm going to set it in the sun a little bit and let it soften up some more. This window's been sunning itself for a while. This is kind of conformed a little bit. Now we need to force it into that frame. So I've seen other videos kind of investigated this a little bit, and one of them suggested using kerosene. So I have some kerosene in this. And this should help soften this stuff up and act kind of like a solvent and let it stick. So we'll see how that works. Certainly doing something because it's turning this rag black. It's making it slip. Let's not drop it. I've relocated to a little harder surface. Probably wouldn't be a good idea if we were using the laminated glass, but being that this is tempered, I think we're all right. Kind of squished out some of the tape, so we'll pull that out.
The rest of it's probably just going to live in there forever, which I don't think will be a problem. So I guess I neglected to turn the camera on for that shot, but used this C-clamp and pushed it in there with the end, and it got tight. So I believe this end's all the way in. And we'll move up here. I was a little bit nervous using something like this on glass. Something's happening, and I'm pretty sure the glass is not compressing. So, looks like it's pretty flush with the ends. So I'm going to let this sit a few minutes, and then maybe try to tap it in a little more. But then I think we're good. We can trim all this excess off. I'm pretty happy with how the vent window turned out, and it actually closes. So next we need to move on to the side window. So this is kind of coming back to me now. The track, this typically would stay in the window regulator, and you would bolt this channel to the track. Now at some point in this life it got like booger weld brazed onto it. But it's still holding, so I need to kind of get all this crap out of here. I'll clean that out, and then we'll set that window, put this back together. Moving on to the door glass, I cut a piece of this other roll of tape already. This should be easier, just because it's straight. So we'll get that started on the door glass and fold it around. This is pretty rigid also, so I guess I'll have to tape it on. This stuff is considerably stiffer. Not sure I should have to do this, but I mean, it's like 92 degrees out today. I'll let that acclimate there for a little bit. I think we'll just go ahead and move down here to terra firma. I'm not sure how effective this whole kerosene method really is, but we'll give her a shot. I believe I have the directions wrong, so I need to turn this over. And I'm just gonna split the difference here on where the track meets the window. So we ended up getting rained out last weekend. So to get this window back in properly, we need to unscrew this track from the window sash. So this can come off, and then it can go in the truck first, and then this window will slip in, and then the screws will go in the track. So with the track slid in the rollers, we can get all this slid back in, and then the screws can go in to hold the window sash in. Let's try the window first. right around that position will let you get the screw in. Okay, now that that window is screwed to the regulator little track, you got to kind of hold it to the back because there's really nothing to keep it from falling out of the little rollers. So now maybe with the window all the way in, this will go in because this is also the front track of the window. I just don't remember. It's been so long since I've done this. There we go. So then these screws go in through the kind of door frame and hold this vent window assembly in. And this rubber seal kind of sits on the outside. Almost need to kind of coax it to be on the outside. And get these holes to line up, which it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So go up above, loosen these screws we just put in a little bit. Should allow this to move down a little bit. And maybe it'll start. Now we can just tighten these up. Probably be a good time to make sure it operates. All right, like a charm. So with everything cleaned up, vapor barrier sort of on there, put this all back together. And there we go, all back together. Windows are somewhat clean. Rolls down, rolls up all the way. Not broken. See if the door closed. Didn't even have to slam it. All right. So there we go. I think I'll get to the other side some other time. Anyway, if you have a 62 Chevy truck or something similar to this vintage and your windows are jacked up and your door latch is screwed up, there's how to fix it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.